All right. Hello, YouTube land. This is a sequel video follow-up to the basic animation video I have. So in this video, I want to kind of go over the inverse kinematic features for the 2D animations. Now, I went on YouTube and I went looking for this, and I couldn't find something anything that was very helpful here. So I muddled through it and I have something. So here is how you add inverse kinematics. It's just my fiddling around with this, so feel free to do things differently or experiment on your own. This is just what I found works for me. So anyways, right now we have our character set up, and if you're in scene view, I can move this around, okay, but right now it's very difficult to animate things, okay? So what I mean by that is, if I'm in my animator and I want to do something kind of complex, like, let's say, kicking, you know? I can make a new animator clip. I'm going to call it kick. And I have to move all of these joints or all these bones individually. Maybe I can do it kind of easily because I have this bone here. So I just can grab this bone and then all these other bones move. And that kind of works, but if I want to be fancier, let's say I want to kick here. And so I got to start here, and then maybe I want to like bend it so it's not, maybe I need to move the toe a little bit, you know. So like achieving that pose is a little tricky, you know. I had to start at this higher bone on the chain, and then I had to work my way down the chain as I adjusted things, okay, working down the armature, okay. So that is inverse kinematics. So what we have here is you have a bone, and then a bone. So when you're working down the chain like this, okay, that's called a forward kinematic. Writing with the mouse is hard. Okay, so that's forward kinematics, going down the bone. Now, what I would like to be able to do is just grab this foot, pull it up in the air, and then have all these other bones move automatically, okay? And that is a very different process, but related to the other process, and that is called inverse kinematics. Okay, so inverse kinematics. So obviously, being able to just drag the foot to the target and have the rest of the bones move, that's helpful. So inverse kinematics is really good thing to know about. In tools like Blender, there's a modifier for inverse kinematics that is really helpful. For 2D animation, I know that Adobe Animate automatically sets up inverse kinematics for you, and that's really helpful. So I wanted to be able to do this in Unity. So when I opened up the package manager, I noticed that there was a 2D IK package, and I was like, ooh, IK, inverse kinematics, I need to try that, right? So I clicked on it, I hit install. Right now it says remove because I've already installed it. Okay, I installed it, and then I was like, okay, let's use it, right? Set up inverse kinematics. I love inverse kinematics. I need that right now. Need inverse kinematics in my life. So, but there was no explanation. So what I'm going to do is show you right now how to get to it. So you just click on your parent object, and then you can. I think the way I got to it is I hit add component and I just typed in IK. And when I do that, I ended up with, I clicked IK Manager 2D. I don't know what IK Editor Manager Helper does, but I just clicked here. Okay, and then there is a list of these IK solvers. Now, I said, I don't know what this is, so I hit plus to make a new one. And then there's a few options. I don't know what all these are. I'm assuming they're different ways to compute the inverse kinematics. The one I've found a way to use is the one that's called chain. And then on the left, under my hierarchy, I'm just going to name that left leg IK. Okay, so this object is, I think, under my character, and I'm going to call it left leg IK. Collapse these. So there's two things which you have to add to make this work. If you hit play, let's see if it gives me a warning. No warnings, so that's nice. At least it doesn't yell at you. But you need to find an effector and a target. And what I found is that the effector is the bone which we want to initially move, okay, and then the rest of it is going to follow. Okay, so it's like where your inverse kinematics starts in your armature. That's the effector. And then the target is actually a bone which you're going to move around, and a term that we have for that is a control bone. Now, if you've done 3D animation in Blender, that's a familiar term if you ever tried set up IK, inverse kinematics. So we need a control bone. Okay, we already have an effector bone. It's probably going to be probably the leg, right? But I need a control bone. So to do that, I need to go back and add a bone to my armature. So to do that, I need to go to my project folder. I need to click on my image that I am turning into my sprite, and then I'm going to adjust the import settings. Go sprite editor, then select bone editor. If you don't have bone editor available, that means you probably haven't installed the 2D animation pack. So go to that package manager, handle that business. Okay, so I'm going to select bone editor. And I'm going to add a control bone for this leg here. Now, I've experimented a little bit with this, and the first time I did it, I just clicked the root bone, and I created a bone. So I click the root bone, and then create a free bone. Okay, so a free bone is a bone that doesn't have the same rotation. Oh wait, no, it's just not connected. That's what it is, okay? It still rotates and translates with the root, but it's not connected, which is kind of convenient. So I'm going to take this root bone, I'm going to make a free bone. To get to that, you have to click here. And I'm going to make a new bone down here. And I'm going to kind of try to match the angle of the leg bone. And the reason why I'm doing that is because the way Unity does this, you're going to copy the rotation of your control bone. So you want it to kind of be the same angle, so that way when you move it, it isn't confusing like how you're supposed to move things. So you want to just like basically create a new version of that bone off to the side. Okay, and that control bone should work pretty good. Okay, but when I did this the first time, I just ran with this and I continued with the rest of this process, and it worked. But there was an issue where the knee would flip around and it looked really ugly. And that's not something you really want to live with if you can help it. So I found a slightly different way to handle this. So what I'm going to do is delete this thing again. And then I'm going to do that again. I'm going to hit the root. I'm going to create a bone. There we go. Okay, so I click the root, create free bone. I'm going to put it right about in line with the knee. Okay, and I'm going to point it at the knee. And I don't know if it's super important it points at the knee, but that's what I do. See if it works. And this is going to be called a pole bone. So I'm going to call this pole left in case I decide to do a right later. So I'm going to call this pole left. And what a pole bone does is it helps us tell the armature how we want it to bend. Okay, there's some more technical definitions and complete definitions out there, but basically this is going to help our knee bend properly. So that's the pull bone, and now I'm going to go and with the pull bone as selected, I'm going to hit free bone again, and now I'm going to create that that bone that's the same shape as the lower leg, and I'm going to call that low leg CTRL for control. So I'm just going to hit apply and close this. So if we go into our scene view and we click on, if we go here, I think our bones just disappeared. And I think that happened because we just applied that to the image and now it's like all confused. It's like, oh, what do you just do, right? So what you actually need to do is, and this is a little spooky, but don't worry, it'll be okay. You just delete the root bone directory. Now all the bones are gone. They're just gone. They don't exist anymore. And your IK solver, you need to set that up again, which is good because we need to. And then we have the sprite skin component. Now if you don't have this added, you need to add this at this point. The easiest way to get to it is by clicking Add Component and then searching for Sprite Skin. Okay, just find it like that, right? So you go into your Sprite Skin component, and now you have to click Create Bones again, and then it updates. And now you see we got the pull bone, we have the control bone. It's all in there, and it's all set up. And I didn't have to redo the weights because these control bones actually aren't deforming anything. So I don't want them to be assigned to any verts or vertices. So it's fine. I don't have to bother with the weight painting anymore, which is nice. I hate that process. It's tricky. Okay, so now I need to set up the effector and the target again. Now it's a little different because now we got this pull bone, okay, but the process of setting it up right here, it looks the same. Well, it's kind of subtle. So low leg left for our effector. That's the thing that's going to start the chain. And then the target is going to be the control bone. So I'm going to go left leg control like that. Okay, and so now I have this set up as my effector, which is where my thing's going to start, and this is set up as my target, which it's the control bone. Now, right now you see no difference, but if I increase the chain length, notice what happens in our scene view. So at 0, you see no green dots, no nothing, right? But then as I bring this up, it works its way up the joint. So I believe these green dots are showing you what it's affecting. So it's really neat. So now when you move your control bone, it just kind of works the way we want it to work. Now one thing I just noticed is, gosh, I was trying to do kicking, right? Well, this is going to help. This is not going to help me kick because, well, I guess I can. That's kind of nice, actually. But that's not really true inverse kinematics. What I'm kind of doing now is sort of nice, but not really what I'm looking for. What I should have done is set the effector to be the ankle. So let me change that, which I can change. Thank you, Unity, for making this flexible. So I go left leg IK, and I'm going to change the effector to left ankle. And let's see what happens. The bone's a different size, but I don't think it really matters. I think it'll be okay. So if I just say ankle left and close, now ankle left is my effector. Now let's see what happens with that control bone if I move it around. And you see, it won't flip around until I get past that pull bone position. Now if I move that pull bone in my scene to up here, then my inverse kinematics is all kinds of confused. It doesn't really know how to bend, when to bend, etc. It's a little confusing. It's kind of like what it would be if you didn't have an IK bone set. So if you set this, or a pull bone, So if you set that, it's just nice. It's kind of like a constraint of sorts. I don't know. So you can actually experiment with this. You might not even need the inverse kinematics. Another thing that's really nice is the way this works out in Unity. If you put this on your ankle, you could just use this bottom bone here. You just use this control bone and you rotate the ankle that way. So that's really nice. In Blender, you have to set that up by hand, which is really annoying. So if it flips like that, you know, it works a little nicer. So basically, now I can go back to animation. Let's say I want to do kick again. Instead of just grabbing here and doing that, now I can go hit record and Control Z, turn off recording. First, I want to set this where I want it. And if you can't actually get a hold of it, you can always select in your hierarchy and hit this, because that's what just happened to me. Okay. Like that. So now I'm kind of in a standing pose. Okay. I'm going to hit the circle button. Which circle shape button, it's like record, I think, and it's going to keep track of what I do. I kind of explained that a little in the first video. I'm going to go and I'm going to click on, like, I don't know, 5 frames. And I'm going to change my sample to 12 because I like to not do a lot of samples and I like to just make my animations short like this. So it's just what I do. So you could do it a different way, just experiment. So I'm going to go to 5, and then now I'm going to move this control bone. So I'm going to grab it, and then it creates that keyframe right there for me. Then I want to create the last frame, which is the same as the first. So as we did in the previous one, I'm going to copy and paste there. So I'm going to just draw a box, and then copy. And then probably go to 10, so that's even. Go paste. And now if I hit play, I should get a kicking animation. Although it might be waving instead. So let's see what happens when we hit play. Yeah, no kicking. It's because our animator is set to a wave right now. So if we go in our animator, controller, change the motion from a wave motion to a kick motion. Now it should repeatedly kick. Now you can change all of these and how they behave through scripts, but that's like a whole nother subject. So anyways, now I hit play, it should show my kicking animation. Now, you might be watching this and think like, okay Ash, you showed me how to wave in the first video, now you set up this complicated thing to do another simple little animation, so that's not a good use of your time. True. Totally true. However, let's say you want to do something more complicated like a walking animation. Okay? Ooh, that's a lot of joints to adjust, like arms and legs, etc. So if you set up IK on all of the limbs, which is the same process, you're going to be able to do a really nice smooth walking animation with a lot less work than doing it with forward kinematics. Forward kinematics would mean it takes a long time. It's going to be really tricky. Another thing I noticed is these green dots. I think those are showing which joints are being affected by the inverse kinematics. So I just want to experiment with this. What would happen if we increase this chain one more? Are we going to get a better movement? Let's see. I don't know if I like that because now it's just like moving the belly a little more, which I don't really like it moving the belly anyways. Let's see if I move the pole target up a little higher. Ooh, I kind of like that. Sort of good, but I don't know. Not really like true to life or anything. So I don't know. I like it set to just 3, so I'll probably bump that back down to 3. Yeah. So it's just that hip joint down that I'm moving. So that's another thing you can play with. So anyways, that was a little demo on how to set up inverse kinematics in Unity using the new inverse kinematics features. This might change as they update Unity. But that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope that wasn't too rambly. Thank you.